Welcome to Gamers Platform.
Good. Oh, baby! Look at that!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Gamers Platform, the only place to be for all your gaming needs. I'm Adam Wolf, and today we're going to be talking about what we know about Battlefield 2042. After all the press releases and everything that we got from this past weekend, we can finally kind of just, take a look and see what we're looking at here for the release of the game. Now, if you haven't seen the gameplay trailer, lucky for you, I have it right here. So enjoy.
Incoming fire!
Attention all squads. The Russian troops are falling back. Do whatever you can to secure the sectors. We push them back, but not far enough. Do not let them regroup. Hostile close! Hostile down!
Now, I'm not going to go through a breakdown of the trailer because there are other YouTubers who have done that, could do a much better job than I could. So Jack Frags and Level Cap, they've done excellent videos on that. So go on over to their channels and check them out. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over the information that we've been given so far about what the game is going to entail in terms of features. So just to start it off, it is built on the latest Frostbite engine. They haven't exactly named it like Frostbite 4 or whatever. It's just an updated version of the Frostbite engine. And I mean, it just really has quite a good aesthetic. It really looks like Battlefield 4. A lot of people are comparing it to that, which is fine because Battlefield 4 was amazing. So it's a good thing that it's being compared to one of the best titles in the series. Now, some of you might be disappointed. I'm not particularly disappointed. I liked the single players on Battlefield. I think Hardline was probably the only one that was not good. The other ones I actually didn't find too bad. However, this is a multiplayer only game. It apparently will have story elements in it, but for the most part, they're focusing on the multiplayer like they used to with Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2. And those games also had story elements in them, so they're kind of going back to the old school way of doing things, which is good. We kind of need that. And I think that's really smart of them. They should focus on the one thing that anybody plays a Battlefield game for, which is multiplayer. And in this particular case, this multiplayer will be housing 128 people in a server. Now, when I think of where games have come from these days, especially or where they're going to, I should say. I mean, we got Call of Duty Warzone, which supports 150 people total. PUBG didn't really start things, but it was like 100 people. Fortnite's up to 100 people, and so it kind of harkens back to the days of in my particular experience, a game called MAG back on the PlayStation 3. It was done by Zipper Interactive, the guys who made SOCOM. And it was the first game of its kind to actually contain 256 people in a match. It was absolute chaos. It was fun. It didn't really run very well in terms of like connectivity, but it still was fun. And it's awesome to see that that's where we're getting now. We're getting back to that point of like really big battles, a lot of people, and it's just going to be really exciting to see all of this chaos just unfolding along with the Levolution and stuff like that. Now, that 128 players is only available on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. Last-gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One, will only be able to play with 64 players, the standard 64-player builds, but luckily, they've accounted for that, and the maps will be smaller to accommodate for the smaller number of people. Now, strangely enough, they're not actually doing the standard class system that we're all used to, the 4 classes of Assault, Engineer, Recon, and Support. Those are more like categories now, as they've swapped all those out for a specialist system. Apparently, there's going to be 10 specialists in total. Each one of them will be placed under one of those categories of Assault, Support, Engineer, or Recon. And each specialist will have their own unique gadgets based on those categories. Some people don't really like this move. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm kind of on the fence because of the fact that I am so used to the class systems of old that it just feels normal. So this is going to be very different in a way. Like I said, we're still going to have those traditional classes, but more as categories rather than classes. And then we'll have these specialist roles within those categories. So we'll see how it works. I think 10 people is a bit of an odd number, but and I know it's an even number technically, but it's an odd number because you can only have, I think they're going back to 4-man squads. So, you'll have 10 people to choose from, but 10 people doesn't divide evenly into 4. That's what I'm saying. So you're going to have, weird numbers or weird classes or categories put together. Either way, we'll see how it works out. I think they're trying to put the whole hero shooter into Battlefield in a way. And, I guess we should see how it works out. Now, the main modes that are going to be in the game as of right now, the first main mode is going to be called All Out Warfare. This will actually contain Conquest and Breakthrough. Standard game modes from the last Battlefield 5. Conquest obviously is a staple of the series. It's always going to be there. But I am surprised, and Breakthrough is actually really fun. I actually really enjoyed playing it in Battlefield 5, and I believe it was in Battlefield 1 as well. I could be wrong on that one. However, I'm a huge Rush fan, and although I've kind of moved away from Rush because they didn't really do it very well the last few games, it's still kind of sad to see that Rush has not been mentioned in the game, and maybe that's just because due to the sheer size of the maps this time around, it's possible they may not be able to balance it properly with the how big the maps are. So I guess I could see that, but we'll have to see if maybe they add more game modes later on. And then the next mode that we know of is called Hazard Zone, which some people seemingly have confused for a battle royale, but DICE has stressed that this is not a battle royale game mode, and that a battle royale has not been confirmed and may not actually ever show up in the game. We're not sure. We're going to probably find out more later, but I'm okay with no battle royale. Not every game needs a battle royale, and I hope to God that they're not going to waste their time or money or effort on building one, because we have too many as it is, and it's really not a necessary game mode. Just like it's not necessary to have multiplayer in every game or co-op in every game or whatever, or story in every game. Like, some games are just built to do certain things, and I don't think Battlefield needs a battle royale. They don't need to compete in that market because it's Battlefield. And then one other unannounced game mode that DICE will be announcing later on in July. There's a new mode or new system in the game for swapping out your attachments on the fly. It's called the Plus system. If any of you are familiar with Crysis, the very first Crysis, even the subsequent Crysis games after it, you could easily swap your attachments on your weapon just on the fly by holding down a button and then changing to whatever you felt was necessary for whatever situation you were going into. They're actually adopting that system into Battlefield 2042, which is actually, I think it looks great personally. If you guys noticed, you saw it in the gameplay trailer, and it looks pretty intuitive and pretty simple to use. So you can adapt your equipment to the use case scenario. Some people aren't liking it just because they felt the loadout system kind of allowed you to strategically make a decision prior to the game based on what, maybe the map, maybe you're facing off against the same team, so you kind of get a feeling as to what they were playing like for the previous game, whatever the case it may have been. But I don't really think it's that big of a detraction from that particular system either, because even, in the old Call of Duties, if you set a loadout, you were set with that loadout until you were done with the game entirely. At least in Battlefield, you can go into your loadout even during a match, change things up, and then get back into the action. So it's really just streamlining that process, and I don't think it really changes the game all that much. They're just allowing you to do what we've always been able to do faster. So I'm actually excited for it. I'm a big fan of the Crysis games. I played all of them, love all of them, and I like the fact that another company has kind of taken this concept and is using it, and especially for Battlefield, to be able to adapt on the fly. I think that's an interesting new kind of tactical thing, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but it's just like it really could make you think on your feet. So that's really exciting. You can swap out scope, the barrel, the ammo type, and the underbarrel. So it's not like a whole lot of things you can change, but there's really not a whole lot to change. Land vehicles can be spawned at any time on the field, so no longer will you have to be sitting in the menu waiting to see a vehicle be on cooldown or come off of cooldown to be able to get in it. You don't have to try and compete for a vehicle. You can literally just call one in on your own. Now, there might be some sort of balancing factor here where it's like only a certain number of vehicles can be on the field at once because there's 128 players, so it's going to be a lot, and so I think that would probably be the only way they could balance it, is by limiting the number of vehicles. Or maybe it's going to be based on a point system, like Jack Frags may have mentioned, where it's similar to something like Battlefront 2, where you have to spend a certain number of points to get a certain character or fly in a certain vehicle or something like that. So I think that would be a smart way to go about it, just a point system, because if you're not doing well, then I don't think you should be able to be rewarded with a tank out of nowhere. But the other cool thing about the vehicles is that in terms of aerial vehicles, those you might still need to actually spawn in those at base, because I can't imagine they drop an aerial vehicle out of the sky. But then again, who knows? We'll have to see. But each one of the vehicles will have multiple seats. Now, in previous games, there have been vehicles with multiple seats, but it was limited on what they could do. Apparently, in this situation, the more people that are in the vehicle, the more efficient the vehicle can be. So in a tank, for example, you'll have a main driver. You will possibly have a turret gunner. You will have a guy who repairs. Maybe you'll have a separate guy working the main cannon. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's a pretty cool concept that if you've got a group of people, a group of friends that you're playing with, and you're all in a squad and you all get into a tank, and you're communicating all the time, it could be very devastating to anybody who's playing infantry, or maybe even just in other vehicles. It could definitely change up the flow of combat when it comes to vehicle combat. I think one of the biggest changes to Battlefield, and I think this has been done before. I can't remember which Battlefield did this before, but if you are not a fan of playing with people, if you just don't like people, or you're just not good at the game and you want to practice, you will be able to play against AI 100%. There's 3 modes. There's the multiplayer mode, which will use AI partners to fill out the server, so that way you're not waiting in queue too long to wait for people to fill up the server. And then you can play in co-op, where you can go into a server with your friends and then just play with and against AI there. Or you can go entirely by yourself into a server and practice up, play with AI teammates, play against AI enemies, and just do you. The best part about all that is that progression will be available, even if you play by yourself, which I think is fantastic, because I don't think that just because you play by yourself, you should be, if you do decide to go into multiplayer, that you should have a handicap. You should be, at a disadvantage because you played by yourself. I think you should be allowed to unlock the guns and equipment that everybody else is unlocking just by playing the game, which is great. So, I can't wait to try that mode out for myself. And it's possible that it's gotten some people into the game, or at least into the idea of buying the game and playing it, that may not have done that before. So I think that's going to be great for a lot of reasons. And I think the main reason is just to get more people playing this game, because I'm really excited for it. Now, as far as that goes, I mentioned unlocking things. There will be a battle pass. It's the live service game. That's what we all know EA's wanted to do, and they're going to continue it here. This is going to be their first real attempt at a live service game. It will have a battle pass. There'll be a free tier and a paid tier. The free tier will actually be how you unlock your stuff, if I understood that correctly. So, everybody will have access to the free tier, obviously. As soon as you start playing the game, that's how you unlock your things. And then the paid tier is how you unlock new cosmetics. Obviously, they threw out the little, tidbit of it's just cosmetics. Let's hope they stay with that, okay? And I don't think EA wants any more bad publicity, given the fact that, they have plenty of it. I think with the fact that they've got specialists in the game now, different characters with different personalities and looks, this is where they can get away with the cosmetics. They couldn't do it with Battlefield 5 because it was set in World War II. People are very particular about that. This is a near future, more or modern-ish game. Go hog wild with the cosmetics, okay? There's no reason that you have to feel constrained anymore, DICE. So just be creative, but don't do what Avengers did and just change the color of something and poof, you pay us $20 for it. Get out of here. Get out of here with that stuff. So far there are 7 maps that have been announced. There might be more coming down the road. They are looking to have the live service model provide the content to the players, so all future content, maps, modes, everything will be available for everybody to play. As far as I understand, that's how it goes anyway. And at launch, there will be 7 maps. Kaleidoscope, which is set in South Korea. Manifest, which is set in Singapore. Orbital, set in Guana. Discarded, set in India. Renewal in Egypt, Hourglass in Qatar, and Breakaway in Antarctica. If you guys want to see pictures of these, you can obviously Google them. I might actually put them in the video. They look awesome. Each one is very distinct, very different, but also very massive. So, and they each have their own little thing about them, Levolution idea embedded in stuff. We're talking tornadoes, we're talking sandstorms, we're talking a rocket that takes off. I mean, it's just crazy stuff going on, and I cannot wait to experience all these Levolutions. They'll probably wear off like they did with Battlefield 4, where it's people just make the Levolutions happen just because. I mean, in the case of a tornado and sandstorm, we can't control that, but they have a wow factor at the beginning, and then they kind of just fizzle off. It's oh, there it is again. It's kind of messing up my shots, but whatever. But I think this could, if they incorporate, like say the rocket launch into the gameplay somehow, it's like, hey, if you activate this at a certain time when there's like a bunch of people around it, you can rack up a bunch of kills or something like that. I think that'll be really cool. As far as I've heard, that rocket could actually fail launch and actually explode. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. As far as free to play, a lot of people associate live service with a free to play game. As far as free to play elements are concerned, they haven't really said anything about that. So expect this to be a fully priced game at either $60 or $70. If it's EA, it's going to be $70 more than likely. I really hope that's not true, and I hope they go the $60 route. But I'll tell you what, even better, if they go the free to play route, that could be a big win for them. Okay, I don't want to praise EA for anything. I think they are a joke, but their developers deserve some freaking credit here for dealing with their crap all these years. And if they go to free-to-play route, DICE could get a lot of clout for that, and EA could at least get some goodwill back. But we'll have to see. These will be dedicated servers, which is good. We need dedicated servers, though, to be honest, I'm kind of missing the peer-to-peer connection days of old, because when dedicated servers go down, it's kind of a pain, and you have to rely on EA to fix things, and most of the time they don't do it very quickly. Peer-to-peer still has that element, but at least you can connect to other people. It possibly alleviates that issue somewhat. That just relies on network connection rather than having to connect to a server farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know. That's just me. There are some elements of peer-to-peer connections that just work better than dedicated servers. But either way, as long as they're willing to foot the bill and not make us pay for it, dedicated servers sounds great. Hopefully that means rent-a-server program will be coming back. They haven't mentioned that at all. I'm just guessing. It'll be great to see those come back because nobody played the community games in Battlefield 5. Obviously, with a big company like this, multiple versions are available for pre-order. You got the standard, you got the deluxe, and you got the ultimate, blah, blah, blah. And they all come with something different. So pick your poison. So there you go. And as far as I understand, there will be 2 tests. You'll have a NDA tech test. So stuff that we can't record or stream or stuff. And I just don't agree with that personally. So I may or may not partake in that. Might be able to talk about it, but I'm not entirely sure how that will work either. I'd have to read the NDA. But I personally, as a content creator, I don't agree with if you're gonna have us play it and you're gonna use content creators as a means to sell your game, don't silence us. That doesn't really work out very well. Obviously, if you agree to sign it, that's your prerogative. It's not mine. I don't agree with it at all. I think if you're going to allow me to play a game, I should be able to talk about it and show it and stuff like that. So you don't want people seeing it or playing it, then keep your trade secrets to yourself. I don't know what to say. I'm not signing an NDA. After that, there will be an open beta that I will definitely be playing and putting up a video and my thoughts and stuff like that. So, be on the lookout for that later on down the road. The game does release on October 22nd, which is fantastic. I find it funny that that's the release date, and the time, the day that they're doing EA Play is July 22nd. That's where we're going to get more info on Battlefield 2042, and I can't wait. So be on the lookout for that. I will be probably streaming it live depending on what day it is, but I will also be putting together a video of what I thought about. It's a Thursday, so it'll have to be a video or live stream depending on when they do it. But overall, very exciting. I'm very pleased with what I've seen, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. It just looks like a ton of fun, and we're going back to standards with Battlefield. Battlefield 5 did not feel like a Battlefield game. The only game that felt like a Battlefield game that of the more recent ones is Battlefield 1. It actually felt really good to play, but it also felt distinctly Battlefield. I can't really explain to you what that means. It just, look at Battlefield 3 and 4. That's Battlefield. And somehow they made the feeling that I had from those games into a World War I shooter, They did not successfully do it with Battlefield 5, and it sucks. Hopefully, with what I've seen on 2042, that looks distinctly Battlefield, and I cannot wait to try it out. What do you guys think about everything that we have seen up until now? It has been crazy. We are just getting flooded with all this information, all these visuals and everything. And I know it's a lot, but I hope that I, at least in a decent amount of time, condensed it all down for you and just gave you the nitty gritty and all the little things that matter. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Are you guys excited for Battlefield 2042? I know I am, and I can't wait to play more Battlefield later this year. Again, release is October 22nd, but we're getting more info on it in July, on July 22nd at EA Play. And hopefully that'll be a overall good show, as well as, you know, very informative for Battlefield players like myself. But until next time, guys, I'm Adam Wolf. This is Battlefield 2042. Don't forget to check out the store at gamersplatform.net, and I'll see you guys later.